my therapist slash spiritual guru said to me once that the native Indian shamans, native Indian healers, are referred to as the hollow bones. And so what that means is that they are an empty vessel. If you're a healer, you're an empty vessel through which other people's emotions are channeled through. So inside, like all these religious books talk about, we are emptiness. There is emptiness all around us. Even though things appear like matter, it's just pure energy. If you follow that line of reasoning, the spiritual journey is one of emptying all the shit that isn't you out of you until you become an empty vessel. And at some stage, these healers become hollow bones, which means that there is nothing of them internally, and they just experience the traumas and the emotions of others through their nervous system, and that's how they can, diagnose them in order to know what to heal them, how to heal them, what part of their body they're experiencing, the energetic blockages, and then that helps them find out how they can actually help them and how they can heal them. And she told me this a year ago. I was like, holy shit, that's a big idea, and then promptly forgot about it, or just put it to the back of my subconscious, the bottom of my subconscious. And recently what I've been noticing is that I'm able more and more to experience the emotions of others as they're speaking to me, and I can tell exactly where they are emotionally. For example, my mum was telling me a story about how she went to the zoo 15 years ago. This is how she became vegetarian. She went to the zoo 15 years ago, and there was a polar bear at Edinburgh Zoo, and it was pacing up and down this tiny little cage that it was in, had a little bit of water and a little platform, and it was clearly, it was clearly going fucking mental because it was in solitary confinement by humans in this human prison. And she said she was at the zoo and she could feel the emotions of the animal in her nervous system as she was doing that. And that was a big part of the reason she went vegetarian, because she was like, fuck, we need to take better care of the animals. And as she was telling me that story on the phone, I could feel in my body probably the emotions that she felt when she was in the zoo 15 years before, or even the emotions of the fucking polar bear, which sounds mental. Let's go with the emotions that she felt. I could feel the tightness and the sink in my stomach. I could feel the stress that she felt in her nervous system as she was telling me the story. It was pretty mad. And more and more I've been noticing this. Like, for example, I was at a reading group and I was sitting there, and I don't get super nervous when I do public speaking, but obviously everyone gets a bit agitated, but I've done quite a lot of public speaking now, hosted weddings and whatnot. And I was at this reading circle and there was like 10 people. We just read a book and we were all chatting about it. And the fucking amount of stress I had in my nervous system, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have to fucking go next. I'm going next. Oh, it's me. Oh, it's two more. Then it's me. Like, I was so stressed. And then I was like, why am I stressed? And I realised, I'm not stressed. I'm just experiencing the emotions of the group because everyone else is super stressed about having to speak in public. And so it's an interesting one to think about, especially, if you have been meditating and you are feeling a bit better in terms of yourself. Like, if you're not completely preoccupied with your own problems, but there are a few gaps in the clouds, let's say, and the sunshine comes through every now and then. If you're at that stage in your journey, then it might be, an interesting thing to think about whether the emotions that you're experiencing in that moment, the negative emotions that you might be experiencing, are actually even yours at all, or if it's just something from the environment that's being filtered through your nervous system and it's giving you information about what's happening in the world around you. Like, it could be the room you're in, it could be the person you're talking to, maybe the fact that you're feeling anxious and like antsy is nothing to do with you, it's to do with the fact that the person you're talking to is feeling antsy and anxious. Or if there's like tension and you feel awkward around this person, maybe it's you're experiencing the other person's tension rather than your own. And that might sound like, well, how do you know it's not yours and how do you know it's theirs? The point is that, like, when you deal with your shit, and you know what you're like in certain situations. When you deal with your shit, you know that you don't really get socially anxious around other people. It doesn't make you nervous to talk to other people ever. For me, I'm saying. But then when you're around someone and all of a sudden you're getting super fucking nervous and like awkward, like, that's not going to be yours. That's going to be theirs. That you're experiencing through your nervous system. Anyway, so it's an interesting one, this idea of the hollow bone, that the emptier you get, the lighter you get, the more other people's stuff can filter into you, because that's how you help sort of quote unquote heal people. That's how you help diagnose them, is because you feel it in yourself. And it's the same with, it just makes you more sensitive to every environment, the places you go to, the people you hang around with, the food you put in your body, all this stuff. That's the journey, essentially. It's just greater and greater levels of sensitivity to to the world around you, and it makes you less likely to drink caffeine because you realise that it can ruin your whole fucking day when you drink a coffee, because it just makes your mind like, you know, puts your mind on fucking hyperdrive. Or you don't drink alcohol because you realise it ruins 2 days, not because you're hungover, but because you can't get back to the level of presence and awareness that you had 3 days before. Or you stop eating certain foods, junk food, because you're like, fuck, it sits with you for like 3 hours, ruins those 3 hours. Like, it's not this thing where you're like, I should be eating less junk food. It's that it becomes unpleasant to do the things that are bad for you. And it becomes pleasant to do the things which are good for you. So then gradually, bit by bit, obviously 1,000 times you have to drop it, pick it back up again before you finally drop it. But yeah, bit by bit you then kind of purify the inputs that you're putting into your body, and then you can, instead of getting noise, you're getting signals all the time from the world around you. Like signals of exactly what's happening and exactly what's correct, what's right, what's real in the world around you. Anyways, I hope that doesn't sound like absolute rambling of an insane man, but that's what I've been experiencing in my life. So yeah, all the best. Thank you.